Okay, so just before I start the tutorial, I want to let you know that there's a couple of things that I forgot to mention. One is when I talk about the top buttresses here, I do mention that the first one is only 3 by 3 and every after is 4 by 3. I forgot to mention that in this timing chain here, the main one that comes and then breaks off into the foot lifter and thrower, that one differs every module afterwards. So in the single module that I build with you, you'll see that it is just a 1, 2 by 1, 2, 3. But every module after that will be a 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3. So keep that in mind. I forgot to mention that. The other thing when running this in survival, you'll have to deal with mobs if you don't have the server in peaceful. So mobs can spawn on top of these blocks here. You can get zombies, you can get creepers walking around and blow up. It will be dark as you move forward, so lighting it up underneath as you're going is very useful. If you can't control the mobs when you build this, and if you could have night vision, that'll help you greatly. As well, when the TNTs are blowing up, you need to make sure that you remove all the water and lava, things that can cause them to not destroy the walls in front. So other than that, you should be good. So here's the tutorial. Enjoy. Okay, so that was a quick flyover and demonstration of the newest tunnel bore mining machine that I've designed. I did this originally in 1.14 and then built it in survival in 1.15, so it will work in both. And I think this is pretty much the final design unless something ceases to work, if there's a future update and it breaks something in here. The only thing I'm not happy with is the driving module here. I find that it's first off a bit finicky, so when you're sitting on that powered rail and you push forward and this module gets pushed forward by the previous line, you get jolted back, and if you're not careful and you're still holding forward, you'll land right back on that detector rail and it will trigger it and load it up for the next one. And if you're still holding forward, so if you just hold forward, you may actually drive forward and trigger it twice a little too quickly. And so that can be a problem. So it does take a bit of finesse as the driver on this. It works well with multiple people, one person driving while the other people run up and down grabbing things. But if you're just by yourself, this module is pretty useless. You're not really gonna want to jump in to trigger it and then jump out to go and collect and then run back and start it over. So what I found I ended up doing in survival is just triggering it with a redstone block and destroying that block and so on. So that would be the only thing I would design differently in the next iteration. But as of right now, it works pretty well. There are a couple considerations that you would want to think of before doing this in survival. For me, I designed it so that I can look for diamonds, as you saw my nice little artwork over there. So the height of it is important if you're doing it for that reason. So the lowest you're going to want to build this block right here, you're going to want to put that at Y13, and that will expose from Y9 up until Y20, and at the lowest it'll be Y11 right there. That will be the highest on the low end. That won't be destroyed, and the lowest on the top end will sit right on here on Y19. But on the top end, nothing will stick because there's only 3 blocks on there. It's the 2 half slabs and the observer, so they should be fine. And again, there's going to be a 1 block gap. And the reason for Y13 for diamond exposure, but also lava lakes. If you go a little lower, you'll have to start dealing with all the lava lakes that start spawning at Y10. That could be, it just would be way too much work. Another thing too is the position within the chunks. So here I didn't do it quite as I did it in Survival. In Survival, I built the driving module right on the chunk border. And that allowed me to have a 9 module wide. This example here is 10, but in the Survival I did it 9 wide. And it would expose exactly 3 chunks wide. It's about 3 modules per chunk, as you can see roughly. I think if you did it this way as well, you know, offset by a little bit on that side, then this module will ride right on the chunk, and it should expose a block or 2 on either side, so you should be good. And nothing will stick on here, so that will at least clear out, you know, a 1 gap on that side for you. That's basically it. There's a couple of components that are common in these. You have your triggering mechanism. You have your timing chain. That timing chain gets broken off into several sections. One is for the TNT duplicator, which happens right away, or close to right away. It happens right here. So 1, 2 pistons, and then it will trigger the line to push that TNT duplicator, landing on that block. And then the timing chain will run, come up to the top half, split off here. 1 for the foot, which lifts, and then pivots forward and comes back down. And when it lifts, it throws the TNT block up here, and then that pushes forward. It hits the slime block, bounces off the half slabs here, and arcs it just so it lands perfectly in line to the center of the machine, creating a wide enough hole for each to go through. So you could do a single wide. You can do as many as you can have chunks loaded, I guess, really. And so again, I built this in 1.14, and in Creative it worked fine, and I actually installed it in my survival world in 1.15, and it still runs in 1.15.2, which is the current. So it's been a little while since I've designed this, and only built it once survival, so I'm gonna do a tutorial here on how to build it, but you'll have to excuse me if I have to refer back to this periodically. We'll build just the first module in the timing chain. The only thing that will differ from every other module on the first one is this top buttress here. So this is shorter by 1 slime block than the rest. As you can see, it's 3 by 3, where this is 4 by 3, and that's because the timing chain gets in the way. So to compensate for that, it's a little bit smaller. But after that, they're all identical. I'm pretty sure the bottom is the same as well. Yeah, there's no differences in the bottom. They're all the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's start building this. I'm going to build it right beside it so we can have easy point of reference. Maybe one more. There we go. So the driving module is going to be 2 tall, 4 back, with a sticky piston, a detector rail, powered rail, regular rail, cobblestone wall. That prevents the minecart from flying off. After that, we're going to go back to 1 gap, back 2, down 1, and we're going to go back from that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sticky piston and an observer powering it. Oh, sorry, backwards there. Observer powering it. And then over here, we're going to have an observer powering down and a regular piston. And that's already a flying machine, so we're good there. And off of this, we're going to have 2 slime blocks and a redstone block. Then beside the redstone block, this will be the timing chain to push the TNT duplicator as soon as we can. And that will be a sticky piston here. Extend it. And off that sticky piston will be the bottom buttress here for the lines to time all the TNT duplicators at the same time. And that will be 1, 2, 3, 4 by 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And off of that, you can continue if you wanted to make more modules with a redstone extended sticky piston beside it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So you could continue on like that as long as you want. But we won't do that. I'm just going to do the one today. On top of this, we're going to go 3 out, and I believe it's just those 3? Yeah, just those 3 with a piston. Okay. And an observer powering it. Perfect. And we'll have a redstone block here. And that's to trigger this piston as it gets pulled forward. So once that pulls forward, gets pulled, that piston will get powered by that redstone, pushing this sticky piston and this module forward. Then the sticky piston will extend back and grab onto it again, and then this will be the timing chain onto the TNT duplicator. But we'll do that at the end, and I suggest you should do the duplicators at the very end. So if you're building this in survival, build everything, and then the last thing is all the TNT duplicators. Get those all prepared. I found that worked quite well, and you wouldn't want to go through this and get a several wide and do a duplicator and mess up and trigger a TNT and ruin your day. Okay, so after this line, we're going to have another redstone block there with an extended sticky piston, and that extended sticky piston has a slime block so we can push it. Off of that extended sticky piston, we're going to have the bottom part of the chain of a bunch of sticky pistons that pull. So this module will get pulled forward one, creating a gap, but that observer will trigger the sticky piston reaching forward, grabbing this one, and that will chain all the way down till it gets to the end here. And the very first one's going to have an extra piston on it so that we can push this sticky piston back into place, extend it, and then be prepared for the next triggering. Okay, so we'll put our observer, and they are powering downwards, and the piston here, and then a sticky piston, and then we'll do observer sticky pistons 1, 2, 3. Oops, sorry. You'll have to excuse, my computer seems to be a little choppy every now and then. Something must be running in the background. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and they're all attached to each other in the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a redstone block at the end. And we're going to want to power those with observers facing this way on each of the each of the slime blocks, sorry. There we go, it's the bottom half of the timing chain. And we'll connect it to the top half. with a extended sticky piston that has a slime block on it so we can push it. And here we will go up, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, back 1, regular piston with an observer powering it. Sorry, backwards. And then on the bottom, we're going to have an observer powering down into a regular piston to push the bottom timing chain connection back to the top when it resets. Okay. Then on the top, we're going to have these piston pusher modules. Will be 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. One, 2, 3, 4. And they'll all be powered with observers. Oh, I keep doing it backwards. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is the connection to the top buttresses. It's also part of the top half of the timing chain to do the foot lifter and pusher. And again, like I said, first one is a little short because of the timing chain getting in the way. So this here will be 3 and then up 1 with a redstone and a 1 space gap there. So 1, 2, 3, up 1, redstone block, and then we have an extended sticky piston onto the top module like that. 3 and 3. And this will get reset back into place by being pushed. Once this gets pulled, this observer will trigger that piston and push it back in, and then it will be extended by that redstone being powered. And so we'll put in the observer and piston. So that observer is powering into the block. And underneath we'll have a regular piston right here. And that will push this back into place. And we'll bring that over 1, 2, and then back, I believe 3 is it? 1, 2, and then back 3 total with a piston pusher off of that. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, and so that's the top half of the timing chain that we will bring forward and then split it here. So if you want it to do more than 1 wide, again, you would put that there with your sticky piston, and you would do 4 and then back 2, so a 4 by 3, and then continue on as many as you'd like. Again, we're not doing that in this one here. You can see that's what you would do. Okay, so let's bring that timing chain forward and then split it off. And so we're right here. We do a piston pusher in front of that. I believe that should just be powering straight in. Yes, it is. And then we'll have another piston pusher in front of it, but with a little bit of a different design and a 1 gap. We'll have it sit right on top, like that. And then that is the last one before we split it. And we do that with a 1 gap and make this shape here. And then off of that, we'll have an observer a piston, and the other one's down there, right? Observer within a piston. So now we split the timing chain off, and we'll do the thrower part first. So we just have a piston pusher off of this one. And then this actual the thrower part. And you can do that by making a 3 tall, knocking out that, and grab half slab here and placing it on the bottom and breaking that. They will actually stay stuck together. Bring that back. So you don't have to worry about being left behind as it moves forward. And so that's the top half. Now we'll do the leg lifter. And we'll look at that first. So it'll be an upside down L shape, observer powering into 2 pistons with a 1 gap. So 1 gap, that shape, we'll have an observer powering into that block. And we'll have a piston here and a piston underneath. And then off of that, I use 2 blocks of iron and a redstone and a extended sticky piston just before the redstone. And that is going to be holding on to this foot, which will be 3 and 1 back, and we'll put a block of iron here and a block of iron there. So what happens is when this module gets pushed forward, this sticky piston gets unpowered and lifts up the foot. This will be there and the piston will be here. It'll push it forward and then it will line back up and get powered by the redstone block and push back down. And so that's everything, less the actual TNT duplicator. So at this point, this is where, if you're going to build multiple modules, you would stop on this one and continue wide back and finish the TNT duplicator. You could probably put in just this last part of the timing chain here before the actual TNT duplicator gets pushed, and that's just a 1 gap with a 3 tall 2 3, and then a observer piston pusher on the side here like that. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Let me delete that. It would be that observer is powering sideways into it. So you'd have your regular piston there and the observer powering it. So you could build it to this point here, leave the TNT duplicator module out, build as many as you want wide, and then go back and finish the duplicators, make backups, whatever you need. Okay, so let's do the TNT duplicating module. So we leave a 1 gap, we build a U shape, we put in a detector rail, we'll grab ourselves a minecart, we'll go over and grab some of the stuff we need here. It's be a TNT and a dead fire coral fan. Okay, so you make that U shape with the detector rail and the minecart on top. Then you put your TNT here, and off of that you make this like inverted L shape. So down 2, 3, over 1, and then you knock out these 2 blocks and put a slime block in there. So you have this kind of shape, if that makes sense. And you're going to put your dead fire coral fan here and a cobblestone wall underneath. And that's it. So I believe in 1.14, the first time you push, this will actually load up and not launch, but in testing it in 1.15, it launches right on the very first. So just be aware of that when you're building this. So let's see if we did this all right. Let's actually run it through once. Make sure we got everything correct. Okay, so it didn't actually launch. Okay, I just built this beforehand to test it out, and it launched the first time. So I'm not sure why it launched the first time, but not this time. But either way, it should work now. There we go. And then it lifts, and then gets thrown. So that's it. That's a single wide TNT tunnel bore. You wouldn't need, say, this or this if you were just doing a single one. That's all you would need. Yeah. So I hope that is useful. I'm sorry it took so long for those of you who were wanting it, either a world download or a walkthrough build. But it's here now, and I hope you enjoyed. And if anyone has any other suggestions or better ideas maybe for the driving module, I'd be definitely open to hearing. And on that note, have a good one. See you later.